I believe it's an investment nonetheless, and I don't really care what anyone else thinks, and nor should you, because when it comes to your own personal investment goals, that's all that matters. Buying gold. When it comes to gold, there's always so many questions surrounding the yellow metal. But with this particular one, I'm thinking about 10-gram gold. 10-gram gold bars specifically. Should you buy them, or is it better to stick to maybe coins or smaller or bigger pieces? Okay, so back by popular demand, we're back in the car. You guys seem to love the last video when I jumped in the car to break up the scenery of the regular view, and by popular demand, it's back. So today we're going to be reviewing 10-gram gold bars. Now, a big shout out to Tavex Bullion. They have once again sent me an awesome amount of precious metals. They sent me two 10-gram gold bars. Now, so those specifically are a 10-gram Valcambi Suisse bar and a 10-gram PAMP Swiss bar. Both lovely bars, which I'm very, very excited to be able to review, and I'm going to be getting straight onto those in a moment. But before I do, the intro. Who am I to talk about investing, and especially gold specifically? Well, my name's Future Investments, and my experience predominantly lies heavily in precious metals and stacking it for the last 4 years, coming up to 5 years now. And my plan is to stack a fair amount of precious metals to hedge against inflation and preserve my wealth for the long term. And then in the future, I plan to liquidate most of it, if not all of it, for an early retirement amongst liquidating some of my other investments. So, yeah, today we've got some wicked pieces to look at. We've got 1 ounce gold Britannias here, 1/4 ounce pieces, and these 10-gram gold bars. Now, should you buy 10-gram gold, or is it better to stick to maybe 5-gram, 1/4 ounce, or go straight up to 1 ounce? It's a good question. I literally received a comment on my YouTube channel moments ago before starting this video from someone who was really, really interested in gold but quite nervous and wasn't sure what is maybe the best option for them to buy. So I've wrote down some figures and we're going to start comparing those together. So let's have a look at these 10-gram gold pieces that Tavex have sent me. Stunning pieces. How much do they go for? Well, this Valcambi Suisse Gold Bar on the left would set you back £591.29 from Tavex Bullion, and the 10-gram PAMP Gold Bar will set you back £610.46. So a slight difference there between the two. What exactly is the fiat difference between these two items? Well, it's exactly £19. That's the difference between buying a PAMP one or a Valcambi bar. Now, for me personally, I would rather have the PAMP bar. I think the design is nicer. I think it's prettier. I think it's more globally world renowned, and I think it would be easier to liquidate. Actually, saying that, I think all gold is actually the same in terms of liquidation. That's probably not fair, but I just think as a quality and sort of perspective of how popular this is, I would just rather personally pay, £19 more and get this PAMP bar. I'm holding it for the long term anyway, so I'd make them premiums up by holding it for the long term. Having said that, though, I am a weight stacker, those of you who watch the channel regularly, and I always say that, both of these pieces are the exact same purity and weight of gold. They're both 10 grams. They're both 4/9 fine. And, they're both yellow gold, the yellow metal. The purity is the exact same. So, therefore, the value should be the same. And I do agree with that. What you're paying more for is, you're paying more for the premium of buying a more globally known piece like PAMP. But nonetheless, I think, owning this or owning the PAMP, both are a great bet, because you're going to be hedging against inflation and preserving that wealth. You're just buying something that maybe you prefer more of. If you're really, really strict and you're more of a weight stacker, then you might think it's worthwhile just going for the Valcambi bar. You're going to save yourself £19. And at the end of the day, you could nearly pick up a 1 ounce silver Britannia coin for that. So that is a fair difference, to be fair. It's a pretty big premium difference, but I think for me, I'm a little bit of a quality man, and I think I'd rather pay a little bit more just to get a PAMP bar. But that's just me. I don't think that's a right or wrong answer. That just comes down to personal preference. So, yeah, should you buy 10 gram gold? It's a hard one, isn't it? Because it depends on your stacking goals, your preferences, and, you know, what your plan is, how much you can afford. You know, for me, I buy regularly 1 gram gold bars, and we know that there's some ridiculous premiums on them. I'm getting absolutely hammered on those premiums, but because I'm holding it for the long term, I can appreciate the premium and I justify it. But I think when you start getting up into the bigger scales of gold, you know, like 5 gram or 10 gram, it's still a fractional piece, isn't it? Anything below an ounce is classed as fractional bullion. So even though this is quite a substantially large looking piece, it's still fractional. And there's definitely some premiums on those. So, you know, if you're paying £610 for a 10 gram PAMP bar, is it worth waiting and just maybe waiting a month or two and getting a big stunning piece like this 1 ounce Gold Britannia? Yes, I know it's one extreme to the other. We're more than doubling the value. You know, this is around £1,700, and if you doubled this, you're looking at, you know, £1,220 or so. So you'd still need to save up another sort of £500 to pick this up. But it depends, doesn't it? I mean, if you're looking to store as much wealth as possible into an item that's going to preserve your wealth for the best value, then, in my opinion, waiting and going for a 1 ounce Gold Britannia would be the smarter bet. But if you're looking to stack more regularly, and maybe you want liquidity in your stack, you want to be able to break off some of your investments and sell them off incrementally, then a 10 gram gold would be more advisable, wouldn't it? Because you're going to be able to sell off a 10 gram gold bar and not lose a massive investment like you would in the 1 ounce of £1,700. You're going to be able to sell it off and get £600 or so back. So there's for and against arguments, in my opinion. We know that bars are cheaper generically than coins. They carry lower minting costs. Coins tend to carry higher minting costs because of the security features and the designs. But that also pushes to the fact probably why bars are a little bit more popular. They are synonymous in the films, aren't they? It's normally gold bars you see. In my opinion, I think bars have a little bit more of a wow factor, and the fact that they're cheaper, that kind of adds to the bonus of them. But when we come to the negative of that, you know, the truth is bars are not capital gains tax exempt. Coins are, bars aren't. Well, I say coins are, not all of the coins, but, you know, if it's a legal tender piece like a Sovereign, a Britannia, or any coin minted from the Royal Mint, it's capital gains tax exempt. So you're not going to be paying any tax on your profit of your sale. But with your bars, you will be paying capital gains tax if the value of the bar is over the capital gains tax threshold. Now, something important to mention is you don't pay tax on the entire value of the item. You only pay tax on the gains. So it's a percentage. So even so, you may pay capital gains tax on these when one day they might cross over that tax threshold limit. The amount, I think, is so negligent because of, you know, the time you should be holding these assets for. You're going to increase it averagely, you know, around 9% a year. And that's not even really why you should be stacking gold. Gold is a wealth preservation device. You're hedging against inflation. It's a fantastic, fantastic form of savings account. I think you need to sometimes look at it from a true perspective of what gold is as an investment. A lot of people don't like me using the word gold as like an investment, but I believe it's an investment nonetheless, and I don't really care what anyone else thinks, and nor should you, because when it comes to your own personal investment goals, that's all that matters. You know, they say comparison is the thief of joy, you know, and you should only compare yourself to yourself and not to others, and I do believe that's true. You can use others' experience and growth as a comparison to sort of figure out whereabouts you are, but I believe that you should focus on yourself, because your own goals and plans are individual to you. Now, I think a negative of bars is that there is always less security features than on coins. When we come over and look at these stunning 1/4 ounce Gold Britannias and this 1 ounce Gold Britannia, you'll see that there's lots of security features on it. I mean, coins have amazing security features, especially if they're from the Royal Mint. You can see the wave design in the back there, and then the padlock, which is currently at the trident, and then we flip it and it turns to the padlock. So bars, I think some do have security features, but generically they don't. Just look at these two features here. I mean, the Valcambi Suisse one has none on the bar itself, and the PAMP bar, although it's got a beautiful design, I don't believe there is a security feature on it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I think that's why probably PAMP are a little bit more faked. I think there's a bit of a reputation out there for PAMP having a lot of fake versions made up, so something to be aware of. But you know, that's just some fors and against. I was looking at Royal Mint 1 ounce bars and coins on their website, and I was thinking, what was the price difference between, say, stacking a 1 ounce Royal Mint Britannia and a 1 ounce Royal Mint Gold Bar? And I thought there would be a price difference. I thought that the coin would be more expensive, and I was actually very, very amazed to see that a Royal Mint's 1 ounce bar and a Royal Mint 1 ounce gold coin fetch exactly the same selling price, £1,767.11. So absolutely no difference. So that's quite pleasant to see. And I did actually have a look on the Royal Mint's website at a 10-gram Britannia Gold Bar, and I was expecting it to be a lot more expensive than Tavex Bullion, but it wasn't. The 10-gram Royal Mint Gold Bar came in at £585. So, you know, around £30 cheaper than this from Tavex. So I know it's a PAMP bar and they do carry larger premiums, but usually the Royal Mint has a sort of reputation of being very expensive. And I think that early on, new precious metals investors go to the Royal Mint because they feel safe, they feel secure buying from them. But once you become experienced, you realise you can buy safer bullion that's much cheaper, you know, to buy. So that's why a lot of people will go to places like Tavex, myself included. So when I saw that you could pick up a 10-gram gold bar from the Royal Mint for £585, cheaper than this 10-gram PAMP and the generically cheaper bar, the 10-gram Valcambi, I was pleasantly surprised by that. So obviously, if I was looking at this or a 10-gram Royal Mint Britannia bar, I'm going to go straight to the Royal Mint and get one not only direct from the Royal Mint, but I'm going to save myself some money. So that was interesting to see. We got to talk about the fact that gold is a wealth preservation device. We touched on it earlier, but it is a wealth preservation device. You know, it's a form of savings. It's a fantastic hedge against inflation, and you know, you can buy gold bullion in the UK without paying any VAT. But there's something important to remember. A lot of people never really talk about it, and it's that gold doesn't actually pay any interest. It doesn't pay any dividends either. So if you're looking for an investment that's going to actually return you capital and maybe dividends or interest, then gold probably isn't the right investment / asset for you to be putting that capital into. It's important to remember what it is, and to be honest with you, gold is in itself a savings account, and a fantastic one at that. And it's a really safe savings account. You know, the risk of gold is astronomically low. And, you know, I've actually received a comment recently from one of my subscribers, and he said, you often say that this investment and this investment is so safe, you know, and you talk about the word safe a lot. And he kind of asked me, what's your reasonings for saying this is so safe? And it's a fair comment. I do say, you know, my investments are low risk and safe because they are. They're long-term, low-risk investments. That's why I've selected them. But it's a fair question. And the reason why I often say that gold is so low risk is because I use the historical data to prove my point. You know, in the last 4,000 years, gold has been a wealth preservation device. It's been a currency that has been the backbone of people's portfolios. And, you know, they say that a good way to predict the future is to look at the past. Now, of course, that's no guarantee of innovation and no guarantee of security, but it's a measure of success and a measure of how that investment has performed historically. So for me, a safe investment is something that has a continual price rise over a long period of time and doesn't have large fluctuations in its price. So that's my breakdown on gold as an investment, but more importantly, the fractional gold, 10-gram gold. Should you buy them? Well, in conclusion, I probably won't ever go and pick up a 10-gram gold piece. I think I'd rather wait, save up and go for a 1 ounce. My sweet spot is a 1/4 ounce gold Britannia. Yes, it's still fractional, but I love the fact that I can get 7.7 grams of 24 karat bullion for only £450. I find that, for me personally, quite easy to stomach. I feel like it's a very happy medium, but that doesn't mean it would be right for someone else. That's just how my financial circumstances allow me to see this as an investment. Maybe someone might see 10 gram gold bars better as an investment, but overall, I believe that it's better to have some gold rather than no gold, and maybe it's not worth thinking about it too much. Maybe it's worth just getting stuck straight in, because, you know, as we say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And I think that's so true. So I'm going to end the video here. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks very much for watching. It's been really fun to film in a different location with lots of amazing pieces. A huge thank you to Tavex for sending me these wonderful pieces. As always, I really appreciate our partnership that we have together, and it allows me to film some fantastic content. So if you do want to check them out, click the link for Tavex in the description below, and you can also use my discount code Future Investments on selected gold and silver bullion. So until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the very next episode.